Hey, what's up? You can't see me, can you? It's because I'm sort of, I could be right here, but I'm sort of leaning on my elbow, and I want to be reclined, so I'm right here, and my half of my face is gone. I guess I could do this, like rework the webcam around to me. Hi, it's me, your bestest friend in the world. I felt really weird. It's funny how time is so funky. Like, I've been in college for a couple weeks now for this year, and last week just seemed like it went on forever in a good way because I was getting reacquainted with people. I was getting back into the scene of being in classes and having so many people around me all the time and all of these things. And at first it seemed like the weird thing for me is when something's good, it doesn't go by quickly like for other people. It seems to last longer and be more noticeable. So I remember last weekend seemed to go on forever. So so much so that when Monday came along and the week started again, it just didn't even feel like it didn't. I had gotten out of the mode of being in class. I was used to having my casual social life. So that was a very odd thing for me. I didn't understand. I've never understood that about myself. You'd think that if you enjoy something, it would go by faster because you're not thinking about it painstakingly. But it kind of works the other way around. But now time seems to be going faster, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. For one thing, it means that it's not special anymore. Being here isn't special. I've sort of adapted it into the normal life. But it's really weird because it makes me ask what how something is special because it's like it feels like the everyday life becomes mundane no matter what shift comes in my life, it eventually feels like it's becoming mundane and like there's nothing there for it. And I feel like if no matter what change you make in your life, there's going to be nothing special in the end. Like it's just going to feel like it's par for the course in the end. Is there even any point to doing it in the first place? I think you can see that with people who get wealth, for example. Someone who's like maybe lower middle class, and by some miracle he becomes wealthy, and then that's just his life now. He's not like substantially happier or better. Sure, he can have nicer stuff, but after a while he just sort of adjusts to that. And I feel like that's what sort of goes on in my life. When you get one of these special things that feels like, oh, it's so new and adventurous, eventually it just becomes par for the course. And that's really weird. It makes me ask what the point is in doing anything, or what's the point in advancing in anything. Of course, if I don't advance in anything and I don't do anything, then I know that I'm going to start feeling like I'm wasting my life away and I'm not going to do anything. Like, there's no progress, and it makes you feel bad. But by that logic, doesn't that mean that no matter what progress I do make by that motivation, I'm always going to feel like there has to be something else? So I'm going to feel like there is no real progress being made? So I have this image of just being alone and afraid when you die. Like, oh, I could have done this or I could have done that. And there's no real sense of accomplishment there. And the seemingly obvious answer is to do stuff. But if you just adjust to the situation, wouldn't you just adjust to whatever you were at and you would always feel like there's some greater alternative that you could have reached in your life? I don't know. And I know that the ultimate answer is or I guess is one of many alternate answers that you could have, but when people say you shouldn't, when they talk about doing something great, it's not necessarily climbing Mount Everest or getting your PhD. It's about your relationship with people and building relationships with other people. But in my mind, building relationships with people, I was eating mini wheats and one piece, like the cereal, and a piece got caught in my throat. ah, if your relationships with people are what make it substantial, then is there even a point to that in the first place? Because your relationships with people don't last forever, do they? After a while, they kind of die off. Very rarely do they last forever. In fact, oftentimes they don't last more than like a year. Or if there's someone that you're going to school with, then the duration of school, plus maybe another year or so, because you desperately try and stay in contact over Facebook, but it just doesn't work out because people naturally drift apart. It makes me wonder if there is any point to that. It makes me wonder if there's any way you can live your life that you're not having regret, because no matter how much you do, no matter who you meet, no matter what accomplishments you make, it seems like you're going to feel like you could have done more. And if you feel like you could have done more, it's like, why didn't I do that more? Of course, if you just dedicate your life to doing everything, first off, you're going to be disappointed because you can't do everything, but also, you're, I guess you're going to feel like your life had emptiness, like you didn't have as much fun. But then is having fun one of those things? Is having fun something that you could have done more? Is that something that you should have aimed for? It's really confusing because it seems like a lot of the time I just am in a position where I don't know if I'm living my life optimally. In fact, I know I'm not. I'm definitely not. But it makes me wonder if there's any type of alternative to that. I don't know. I guess it's not necessarily about being the best, though, because you got to realize that you're not going to be the best in every situation. I definitely realize that I'm not the best in pretty much any situation. The only thing that I really feel like I'm good at is maybe empathy and humility. But even then, is that really a big thing? Because when you talk about empathy, it's like, oh, I can relate to you. I can put myself in your position. But if you're bragging about that, is that really putting yourself in their position, or is it just a tool you're using to make yourself sound better? And if another big thing for me is uh, humility or being humble or anything, where you're saying, I'm not that great. If you're conscious of it and you view that as a good thing of yourself, is it really still that good thing about yourself? Because in that situation, it's like you're saying, oh, I'm not that great, as a way of making yourself look greater. And in that case, I don't really feel like it's about making yourself normal anymore. It's about making yourself seem special, but in a way that's not expected. Because normally in life, when you make yourself sound special, it's about something that you've done. But a lot of people hate braggarts. They want someone who's just a normal, run-of-the-mill person in many regards. So if you are that average person, then in that, you are something special, and that is something worth bragging. And it is something that people find appealing. And it is something that can bring you success in terms of your social relationships. So am I even really empathetic or humble, whatever that word is? Am I really those things if I use them as a point of being successful and bragging? But isn't bragging kind of important? Because I know that the notion of egotism is viewed as bad, but if you do have a high ego, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You got to remember that people are largely driven by their egos. They want something out of it. Like, humans are social creatures by nature. We want that social interaction. That's our desire for life. So, that's what motivates us. Our desire to be perceived well by others. So if doing that is what drives you to do successful things, is that bad? Like a few days ago, I gave blood. Like, I donated blood, and I made a Facebook post like, I saved 3 lives today, and I proudly wore my sticker, and I got compliments, and it made me feel good. And that's probably going to motivate me to want to do that more in the future. So, the fact that I'm bragging about that, is that necessarily a bad thing if it causes me to do it more? I mean, sure, if I'm expecting to get something out of it, like I want people to especially befriend me or give me something, but if I'm just like, yay, inflate my ego, if you're having your ego inflated for the right reasons, is that bad? Like if you give a dog a treat every time he does what you want him to, is that bad? As you can see, there's no specific point in this. These are just random meandering thoughts of mine that I like to go on. And I think I'm about to be cut off, so I'll stop. But yeah, if you're watching this far, I do have a Q&A that I said I'd start on my main channel, Forever Alone Prick. Look at the videos there, and you can ask me a question or 2 or 20. Yeah. Have a nice night of random thoughts.